Hello, and welcome to one of three unboxings of an absolute crap ton of signed Neil Gaiman books, courtesy of the Golden Notebook. So, a few weeks back, the Neil Gaiman posted that he had signed a bunch of books at the Golden Notebook, and it got shared over on the Neil Gaiman fans page. And a whole bunch of folks rushed over there, myself included, and we were like a kid in a candy store. We're like, gotta take it all. I bought a lot, but I always enjoy some signed Neil Gaiman. I mean, signed Neil Gaiman isn't necessarily rare. He has kind of a tendency of signing a lot of things. Some people joke that it's harder to find an unsigned Neil Gaiman story, but we're gonna, share my haul with you across 3 different books, across 3 different videos. Now, unfortunately, some of these might be a little dinged because it was shipped priority, but I mean, as you can see, this title kind of takes up the entire width of the box. So we're going to see what happens. Anyways, they are having Neil Gaiman come back later in the year. So despite the fact that I completely bought him out of books. Not really, but I did buy a lot. They are having him come back to sign more titles. So this box is brought to you, well, a lot of these boxes are brought to you by Dark Horse Comics, who's no stranger to Neil Gaiman titles. First up, we have Norse Mythology Volume 1. So I do actually have a signed Norse Mythology, the book that Neil Gaiman wrote. Oh, we're going to look at that signature in a second. But it got adapted into comic series. So this is a compendium of the first compendium of Norse mythology, the adaptation, and almost every single one of these titles was list price, which I was able to buy so many. But there we go, Neil Gaiman's signature. You're going to see a lot of that in this video, but as I said, it's not necessarily a rare thing. He does a lot. He loves his signings. However, the past few years with the pandemic, he hasn't been signing as much. So he kind of stops in these bookstores. He did like 2 years of touring in 2 months. It was crazy. So, story and words by Neil Gaiman, the script and layouts by P. Craig Russell, letters by Galen Showman, and then a bunch of various different art and colors throughout. So, yeah. Norse mythology is his phenomenal take on, well, Norse mythology. So here it is in comic style. Fenrir. And I'm all for it. Like I said, I like adding some more Norse mythology. More Neil Gaiman and more Norse mythology to it. There we go. There's David Mack's illustration. I have a print of that. David Mack does a phenomenal job. Bill Sienkiewicz. More David Mack in the back there. Buy a lot of David Mack prints through Neverwear. So I'm all for it. And he signs a bunch of stuff through Neil Gaiman and David Mack. Signs a bunch of stuff through Neverwear as well. So, there we go. Up next, we have Likely Stories. Oh my God, I'm sweating on the camera. It's hot. It is hot. Likely Stories, which is a collection of, I think, 4 different stories from Fragile Things and Smoke and Mirrors. Once again, signed by Neil Gaiman. Very short little volume, taking 4 different stories, adapting them, Mark Buckingham adapting them, and Chris Blythe doing the colors. So yeah, 4 little short stories. Can't show you. Not showing you that one either. Taken from Fragile Things and adapted, but very nice as well, and it survived. This one was kind of held open by the library on the bottom. Up next, Trollbridge by Neil Gaiman, illustrated by Colleen Doran. Once again, published by Dark Horse. Very, very short story here. Trollbridge. I think this one, was this the one that was in the Ellen Datlow collection back in the 90s? It might have been. I don't know if it says it in there. It has the 2016 copyright date. I do have that Datlow collection. I think it was. So it's a classic story of a boy encountering a troll. But, very Neil Gaiman-y with the writing style. And, once again, signed by Neil Gaiman. I'll take it. Up next, we have Chivalry. Once again, the pairing of Neil Gaiman and Colleen Doran. Once again, Dark Horse. Very, very nice. Delightfully humorous and sweet fantasy graphic novel adaptation of the short story. This is one that I am not familiar with. But hey, I'm all for it. His stories are delightful. Even when they're not delightful, there's still an air of delight to them. That sounds weird, but it makes sense. Read some Neil Gaiman, it'll make sense to you. So, very, very beautiful illustrations throughout. I like the kind of watercolor style to it. That actually feels very David Mack-esque. Up next, the 30th anniversary of Violent Cases, written by Neil Gaiman, illustrated by Dave McKean. Love Dave McKean's artwork. Neil Gaiman and Dave McKean have partnered up good many times. This one by Titan Books. McKean and Neil Gaiman most recently teamed up for Gormenghast by Folio Society, which we're still waiting. There we go. Violent Cases. This goes back to the 80s. It's a nice little short story about stories, about a man who looks shockingly like Neil Gaiman. Look at that. Reflecting upon a time when his father took him to meet an osteopath who used to work for Al Capone, and the dark stories that were told. But very short little story, but beautiful nonetheless. And finally, in box number 1, we have the big one. We have the Neil Gaiman Library, Volume 3. So the Neil Gaiman Library, there were 3 volumes, each taking 4 different stories and adapting them into graphic novel or comic fashion. Big old signature right there. And printed boards underneath. I gotta say, this, despite being the entire length of the box, really survived. Oh, it's got a rip there. It's got a rip on that part, which is surprising because I thought it would be, the top or the bottom that would get kind of smushed. But it really held up. So, excuse my dongle that I just hit. That's now flipping in the top right corner. My apologies. But yeah, like I said, cover price for these. Some of these are actually going to be duplicates because I had bought them kind of in a blind buy. Not necessarily in this one, but you'll see Likely Stories pops up in one of the libraries, and I actually got a standalone copy of that as well. So it takes Snow Glass Apples, which is his good old vampiric Snow White story. It's fantastic. It's dark. What do we got here? We got The Problem of Susan and Other Stories. We've got Only the End of the World Again. And Creatures of the Night is the final one. And we have little kind of work in progresses in the back. Very cool. So Neil Gaiman, lots of graphic novels, lots of comics, especially the Sandman series. And there's Snow Glass Apples by itself. American Gods got adapted into a graphic novel, or comic book, I should say, which then got compiled into a graphic novel. We'll get to that in another unboxing. But he's also written some great novels as well, including American Gods, Coraline, Ocean at the End of the Lane. But his short works are phenomenal. I mean, he shines through with everything. He's got a very distinctive tone, voice in his writing. But his novels, his short stories are all phenomenal. But that is haul number 1. So that's box numero uno. There it is. If you want to watch more, I'm going to unbox the other 2 the following 2 days, or upload them the following 2 days. I'm going to unbox them now. 3 whole boxes of Neil Gaiman. 3 unboxings for you. Please consider liking and subscribing. Thank you so much to the Golden Notebook out in New York City for hosting this signing and offering these books and shipping them to me. And we'll see you guys around next time.